Our next guest is zeroing in on asset inequality. Oh, no. Within the tech sector. Joining us now is Geoff Lewis, founder of Bedrock Capital. Hey, Geoff, tell us what you mean.
I mean, asset inequality, Joe, it's pretty simple. We talk a lot about wealth inequality. We don't talk about asset inequality at all. And the reality is, in the public markets, not all of these tech companies are created equal. I would argue that Apple is a lot less magnificent than Microsoft. And I think we're going to be seeing these wild inequalities between assets get priced into the public markets over the next year or so.
You got to love Microsoft, though, in terms of it's been counted out so many times. Geoff, it's pretty amazing. Of all the legacy tech companies, that's got to be number one, wouldn't you think?
Absolutely. I mean, hovering around a $3 trillion market cap, same as Apple, but the amount of investment they've made in innovation, the financial profile, the incredible bet on AI with OpenAI, which I think is still wildly undervalued, wildly misunderstood by the market. The Microsoft story is really incredible, yes.
Hey, Geoff, we were talking about Elon Musk's new Grok. This is his version of OpenAI, but maybe with a little bit more attitude and some freedom, maybe less, I don't want to say less guardrails because he wants guardrails, but maybe a bit more irreverent. How do you think that's going to play? And ultimately, do you think that's something that's going to end up having to partner similarly with the way OpenAI did with Microsoft? Do you see a big enterprise company saying, okay, we're not going to be able to build our own, we'll partner with Elon?
I don't think Elon's the type of guy who wants to partner with anybody, and would never count Elon out of any race. But there is this open question. I think Grok's big advantage is using all of the data from X. And Andrew, I think we both spend a fair amount of time on X. Maybe I spend a bit too much time on there, but I would argue that the X data is probably not that high quality. There's this question: is the X data all pretty crazy? So we'll see how Grok does. I'm sure it's going to get a lot of traction with consumers, but I don't think Elon's going to want to partner with anybody, would be my bet.
Geoff, what I'd really like is we're at Magnificent 7 or 8. If we go to the Magnificent 10 or 11, can you tell me the other 3?
Look, I mean, I think if anything, Joe, we're going to be in the Magnificent 2 instead of the Magnificent 8 or 9.
I think we're going down from there. That's interesting.
We're going down from here, I'm afraid.
Really? And okay, so give me 5 that won't be part of it in the next 5 minus 7. Yeah, right. 7 minus 5 is 2.
I mean, I am very skeptical of Apple, as I've said. I mean, when's the last time that you bought a new iPhone? I think the upgrade cycles there are slowing. There's a sense in which they just really haven't invested in innovation, dropped the ball on AI, and, in the words of our former president, China. They have a lot of exposure to China. There's a lot of CFIUS risk there that's just not priced in.
The words of our former president was just China?
Yeah, well, that's the way he used to say China, I think, right? Yes. China. Yeah, I knew.
China.
I knew exactly what. The likes of which we've never seen before. Yeah, I know. There's a lot of those. But so you don't have undiscovered, amazing. It's going to be the big guys that do AI. There's nothing in the weeds where I can get in early.
We have undiscovered amazing. We have undiscovered amazing companies in the private markets where we at Bedrock, where I invest. They're very early stage, and I do think as these companies come out to the public markets, businesses we're bullish on in defense technology, like Anduril, like Mach, like public safety companies like Flock Safety, enterprise SaaS mega platforms like Rippling. All of these are private market names that I do think will come out over the years to come. Disclosure, I'm invested in all of these, but these next generation mega platforms are going to be few and far between, and they take a long time to mature.
Is any after Apple? Who do you think has some serious issues in the 7 that we always talk about?
I think that the Google search monopoly is really at risk here. So you've seen OpenAI just really capture, I think, an increasing share of search. What used to be quote unquote search, people are using these AI chatbots for. Google obviously has bets there with their own LLMs and their own consumer offerings. But I think if search goes away, which it looks like it's going to, I'd be quite short Google.
Keep going, because we've got to get down to 2. I guess I can figure it out. Who's your? It's Microsoft. What's your other one that gets down to the two? What's your other one besides Microsoft? And then I'll just do the. I can figure it out from there.
I mean, look, I think NVIDIA is one that I'm very bullish on. I think Microsoft is one that I'm very bullish on.
So what about
I think Apple and Google are quite
Apple
vulnerable.
hates.
I know, but
Apple's vulnerable, yeah.
But how vulnerable is it? Is it vulnerable 50%? I mean, what are we talking about when you say it's vulnerable?
It's vulnerable on a long enough time scale. When you think about what OpenAI might do with an AI phone, it's been reported that they're in talks with Masa, Johnny Ive from Apple about building an AI phone. I think on a long enough time scale, if the next generation computing platform is not the Apple iPhone, that's a really big problem for Apple.
And you don't believe that they can catch up?
But
you don't think this is a money story? I mean, isn't one of the lessons of the OpenAI experience that if you have the compute power and you can pay for the compute power, you can build a pretty great model?
That is one of the lessons from the OpenAI experience, but there is a major first mover advantage that OpenAI and a few others have here. Apple is way behind the ball here.